Welcome back to the Wellness with Delaney podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Russ and Gabe from Plainview Beef. You guys, I have been so excited to get them on the show today because if you know me, you know I love good beef. However, I have been hunting for the perfect beef when it comes to the cleanliness, the quality, the ingredients, that the cows are eating. I mean, I've been looking for the perfect company, and I think you guys, after months of searching, I think I found it. So if you are somebody who wants the best quality food for your body and for your loved ones, tune in. This is the episode for you. You guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us. It's a
Oh,
pleasure to be here.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Delaney.
Of course, yeah. So I would love to start with the history of Plainview because I think you guys have such a really remarkable story.
Yeah, well, we're just my family, I guess, has been in the cattle business for over 100 years. So I'm fourth generation, and I'm probably the one in the family that knows the least about raising cattle, although I've grown up with it my whole life. But just all the family and the tradition and the things that have gone into it, I think there's so much to be taken from that, and that I pull on every day to get us to do the things that we do and try to learn from all those things that have gone, but then also just kind of taking a fresh look at that from a health and wellness perspective now, and the spot of life that I'm in with young kids, and just doing life and trying to find healthy paths to get toxins out of our systems and out of our families and our bodies. So and that's a little bit my story, and then just having Russ on board and people like Russ that are just super gifted at what they do. I think it just makes our story even just so much richer, having people just that maybe aren't directly in cattle, but really understand the health and wellness and just the passion for doing things the right way. And so I'm just blessed to be serving with them.
I love that. Russ, I'd love to hear how you found Plainview, how you became part of this.
Oh gosh, it's a crazy story. So Gabe and I went to college together. So we were youngsters. We're a little older now, aren't we, Gabe? But we were youngsters together, and Gabe became a dear friend and was in my wedding, but then he and his family moved overseas, and we didn't connect. His wife played professional basketball, and then when they came back to the States, I think it was 23, Gabe, 22. He hit me up about 18 months ago, and I own a media agency and do podcasting and thought leadership style of content for people here in the Northwest Arkansas area. And he and his dad wanted to come over and spend some time with me and shoot some content for a capital raise that they were doing for Plainview. And then so we reconnected after such a long time, probably I think 18 years, maybe I can't remember, but it's been just a long time. And man, I just knew, like, even during that session, we did some content for them. I just knew that this was a product that a process that I wanted to be a part of. And so in a small way, built some content out for them that they used in a successful capital raise. And then we just stayed in touch, and one thing led to another, and here I am, all in with Plainview, working on, content strategy and all of our partners like yourself. And it's just, man, it's a dream to be able to, like, look at someone and hand them a product and just be like, this could potentially change your life. Like, that's that for a content creator, that's everything, Mm-hmm. And so I was just so excited to be able to be a part of it. I'm proud to be Gabe's friend, but, more so just, excited about what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you're so right as content creators, it's so amazing when you can find something that really does bring value and meaning beyond just like sitting behind a screen. And I think that you guys have absolutely done that with what you're doing. So, okay, so I know that nowadays people are really trying their best, right? When they go to the stores, they're looking for the organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, like regenerative, all of that stuff. However, what I'm learning recently is that some of these words might be buzzwords. So, I mean, with all of these different like phrases and lingo in the health and wellness space, do these labels actually mean that much?
Yeah, great question, Delaney. I mean, I think that's the Plainview beginning. So Plainview was started out of a passion of, like, when I go to the store, I'm looking down the rows, like, are these people actually trying to sell me something, and what's behind all that? And so, as I said, having a family, and then my wife and I moving back from living in Australia and just coming back to the US after being gone for 17 years, and just kind of like looking around and taking it all in and just saying, what is going on here? Like, are we kidding ourselves? I mean, we're as sick as we've ever been as a nation. We have a lot of things that we throw in people's faces, but at the end of the day, are we better off for it? And so with Plainview, what we're trying to create is just a very simple, straightforward, transparent process that we could keep everything in plain view, and people could come along the story, and we don't have anything to hide, and we just want to say, if you like what we do, buy in. If there's anything that you don't agree with, tell us so that we can work on it, because we really want to live out in plain view. We want people to really understand what we're doing, and be able to also help us on that journey to make it better. But not only that, to be able to understand that, look, this is really healthy. We're keeping the toxins out. We're keeping the chemicals out. We're regeneratively doing the practices, and we don't feel like we need to fall into labels, because a lot of times people put that up as a front and then they hide behind it, and we don't have
Mhm.
anything to hide. So that's why we're pretty excited about it.
I love that. And I think you can see that on your social media. I mean, you have videos of the cows in the fields. What other beef companies do that, right? Like, that's pretty rare to see. Okay, so what makes your beef different when it comes to the feeding practices?
Yeah, so I mean, I got to give my dad and my uncle and the family a lot of credit, because they've done a tremendous amount of research, experience, just all the tradition and practices that make American beef better tasting. Because we do understand the law, and a lot of cat 90 probably 5% of all cattle in the US are raised in feed yards. And there is some good things about what those feed yards do to make good tasting beef. But where they lack is they often need to take shortcuts, to make profit enough to then sustain their operation. And what in Plainview we're doing is we're trying to bring those practices and those things that are time tested to get good tasting beef, and replace the things that cause the health and the things that we don't want. So take the good, leave out the bad, and then re kind of invent ourselves using technology that allows us to monitor the feed, all of the inputs that go into it. And it gives it, what that allows us to do is get instant feedback to make sure that we're staying on course, to keep toxins out, to not have to use fertilizers and artificial things. And then it allows us to scale quickly without having to cut corners or do things to feed our animals things that aren't good for them. And so at the end of the day, what we have been able to see is that we have really healthy animals. We don't have to use antibiotics. We actually just give them good feed, and it causes them to be really healthy. So that's kind of the way that we're doing it.
Yeah, and you can attest to this, Delaney. We've spent some time chatting about your background. Like, you get it. It's like whatever we're feeding our animal has to translate into what the consumer is ultimately putting into their body. And as you know, and you talk about all the time, that we definitely are what we eat. And so I think
Mhm.
that's the thing that we just are so passionate about. We're not going to demonize what the rest of our people are doing in the beef industry. What we're going to do is help educate people on what it is that we're doing that can potentially, benefit them in a extremely healthy way if they choose to go down this path of living healthy, and so that's
I
us.
I love that. So what are your cows eating?
So we have a ration of field hay, some grasses. Also, they get some out of the pasture, but predominantly we're able to grow a fresh sprouts every day, which we harvest on a 5-day schedule. And these are about 6 inches of green foliage every day that we just use seed, water, and time. And so there's no artificials, no contaminants that are going into it, and it's fresh from the moment it's harvested. It goes straight into the feed bunk for the cattle. So the cattle literally love it. And it just gives us the ability to basically sustain our operation, because we know we're going to have feed for them every day, It's not affected by weather, by pests, by changes in growing patterns, all these things. So it's monitored, and we know if there's a problem on the horizon, we're going to know about it before it happens. So it's just a really consistent, stable feed source for our animals.
I love that. I mean, I think it's really cool to see that the animals are loving what they're eating, that you guys are kind of doing it all in house instead of like outsourcing this and that, where you can't necessarily control the quality that's going into it. So, with that, I mean, people are trying their best to, I know a lot of people are like, they know that grass fed is probably grass and sprout fed better than the grain fed option, right? But they might not even know why. So, why is this a healthier option as opposed to the grain fed cattle?
Uh, I think there's a lot of reasons, to be honest, but just to boil it down, I mean, the omega levels are totally different. All the inflammation markers that we get from unhealthy beef, such as the things that come from hormones, steroids, antibiotics, the things that are put into these animals that's artificial, that then gets into the meat, that causes our stomachs irritation, that causes our bodies to not understand what we're eating. We keep all of that out. We don't want to use any performance enhancing, any artificial enhancements to try to make our animals gain faster. We want them to just grow the natural way. And we believe if we can get them the right feed and the right nutrition, that we can see the similar results. It may take longer time, but over time, it's going to be so much a healthier product for our consumers. And that's really what our focus is. It's not seeing how big and how fast we can make the animals, where we want them to go. It's really about nutrition.
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned antibiotics, steroids, artificial like additives for the cows. What are they putting in conventional beef?
Oh boy, you trying to get
You
me in
would
trouble
ask
here,
that
Delaney.
question.
Russ, you take that one, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, we don't know, right?
That's scary.
We wish that we had all those answers, but we don't know. And in fact, Gabe and I had a meeting this week with one of the biggest, distributors of beef in the world. And they unfortunately they couldn't tell us. And so that's kind of scary, but again, we know that they're even in our processing, side. And Gabe, you can jump in if I say something out of context here. But as we were going into being able to harvest our cattle, our first head, and we took them to our processor, who we have a partnership with now, and so we kind of control every input and output that they're doing, which is a whole nother podcast, lady. But as we looked at that, we found out from them, hey guys, we're going to process this, and then we're going to pour citric acid on this, and then we're going to put some lactic acid on it so it'll preserve it. It'll look all pretty. We'll package it up and we'll send it out. And Gabe and everybody's looking around like, are you kidding me? We just spent 3 years growing the most healthy cattle we could humanly possibly grow, and you're telling us that we're going to pour all this stuff on top of it just to send it to an end user? And we're like, no way. So we had to invest in the process of being able to vacuum seal and not use additives at the end, and send that out to the end user as healthily and as raw and as humanly possible in Plainview as possible. And so, we know that traditional feedlots ingest steroids, they ingest antibiotics, just simply because they cannot control disease on a massive amount of level with that. And so, they have to do it that way. There is no other way to really have that many animals at the same place without having antibiotics. And so, that's a difference with what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. My mind is blown that companies cannot tell you what they're putting in the food that you're then consuming. And to me, as a consumer, I find that terrifying. I mean, I really believe in connecting to our food, connecting to the source. And I believe in obviously the agency of making informed decisions. How are people going to make informed decisions if they can't even find out what's in the food they're eating? That's wild. And then, okay, you mentioned citric acid in the processing. And doesn't that derive from like mold?
Yeah. I don't know about you.
Right? And
Yeah.
GMO sources as well. It starts from right at the root of GMO. So they're modifying the seed to then get the oil, to then get the acid that's produced out of the fermentation. I mean, it's just yeah, it's disgusting. And if people really understood what they're eating, they'd be like, hang on a minute, like I'm not putting that in my body. But
Yeah.
we're so misinformed and uninformed, right, Delaney? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, it's sad because when you're looking at these foods that have one ingredient on the package, right? Like you're looking at a package of ground beef or at your sirloin steak or whatever, and it says beef. And you want to believe that's the only ingredient in it. But then, like, what I'm finding out today, and I know a lot of people are discovering, is how many other things go into it that are not even on the label. And
yep.
that's crazy. And that's why I love what you guys are doing with keeping things in plain view, being very transparent, allowing people to be part of that process and seeing what goes into it so that they can actually build trust and know that they're doing the best thing for their bodies. And I love that transparency. So, Russ, you were telling me in our first time chatting that you guys do something even different than most grass-fed, how grass-fed might taste different from grain-fed, and you guys have found an amazing solution for that. Can you guys tell me a little bit about what you're doing that's different from most grass-fed processes?
Yeah, and again, all this is just me being around these guys who are experts in their field and just really listening. But the thing with us is, since we're able to grow our sprouts indoors, through a hydroponic system with just water, just light, and then be able to translate that to our cattle. What most grass-fed operations have to do is they are confined to the land mass that they own, that their cattle can graze on, right? That they can only consume what they can gather. And so what ends up happening is that cow can really only get to about 1,000 pounds, and then they have to be harvested. And that's when they go to the processor. And then that's what we typically are eating. 1,000 pounds does not allow that animal to gain any marbleization, the fat on them. They're burning off more fat, every day by having to go forage and find food to eat. So in our process, because we can feed those cattle 150 pounds per day of nutritious grass, they can gain weight. And so we can actually take those animals up to a healthy 1,400 to 1,500 pounds. So if you can imagine, Delaney, adding 400 to 500 pounds of really good tasting fat onto a grass-fed cow, then that then translates into the taste of what we're producing. But what we have seen is in our in our pilot of the harvest that we just did, that just being able to, I've never eaten a grass-fed steak where I could just cut it with my fork. You always have to cut it with your knife. Our steaks are coming out and you can cut them with your fork. Like, this is crazy. And, our hope is that we can gain through the USDA some different levels of choice and maybe one day prime, which I feel like we could potentially do. But, it's just exciting. Like, you just don't hear of a grass-fed, cow tasting good, and they do now. So it's crazy.
My mouth is watering hearing about this. I'm so excited to try it. When is your beef going to be ready for the market, like ready for people to buy?
Yeah. Good
Well,
question.
so we just are starting to ship our first orders probably this coming week. So you hit us at a really good time, and we're going to have increased supply then while availability lasts here over the next few months, and then we'll be hopefully translating that into more cattle and more supply. So we're awfully excited.
Oh, amazing. I cannot wait for my beef. You guys, I've been thinking about it at least once a day. Like, I am so excited. So how do people, what are the different offerings that you have for people that you can ship to them?
Yeah, great question. So we're in the process of kind of finding ourselves, Delaney, to be honest. We're starting with some variety bundles, and we're giving people the option to kind of order in bulk. But we also are going to be rolling out some other products too, some shelf stable products in the coming months, and that'll allow us to really use up some of the less desirable cuts of beef to make some desirable products. But then what it really will do is allow us to offer our premium cuts to people so that they can get their hands on a little bit more if they want, and they don't also have to come with something that maybe they generally don't get at the grocery store. So we're pretty excited about mixing it up a little bit. But right now we have some variety bundles, and those are available on plainviewbeef.com. So
Yeah, and then
Amazing.
the thing we didn't, and maybe we'll talk about here in a second, but we didn't really recognize the byproduct side of it, Delaney. And of course, you know, you go to Instagram today and you type in tallow, and you're like, holy cow.
Hmm.
And so what we found is that our consumer wants healthy skincare products, and so we've developed a line of skincare products based on our tallow byproduct that we're extracting from these animals. And there's some things we can talk about because we have those as an offering, but there's other things that are being worked on in partnerships right now that is just super exciting, from a skincare process for both men and women, and even babies. And so we're pumped about it. So pumped about it.
I love that because then you're kind of bringing in the sustainability component as well. I mean, there is a lot of byproduct, and I know a lot of people aren't like they don't even realize that they can eat the organs, they can use the tallow, like they can make bone broth. Like there's so many directions that you can go beyond muscle meat. So for you guys, like being stewards of the land, and I know that faith is a big part of your company, like how does the sustainability component influence what you're doing and the direction you're going as a company?
yeah, great question. Man, you're really good at asking perfect pointed questions.
Thank
So I
you.
mean, we love we just love the idea of being stewards, Delaney. Like we believe we steward our lives. We steward everything that God puts in our hands. And so with that, we're just trying to absolutely take advantage of all the things that are with the animal, and we don't want to leave anything off the table really. Obviously, we got a lot of things going on in the company, but we're blessed to have a lot of great people, and so we've kind of divided and put out roles where people are in charge of different divisions and really coming up with different product lines. And of course, Russ is really busy making good marketing pitches for all of those. And there's been a lot of people like yourself, Delaney, that are connecting with us, and I think getting the message out. And so we're just really excited because we actually do believe that these products, like Russ said, it's going to make a difference in people's lives. The organs, the supplements that we're going to be creating, the bone broth, all of those things are in the works, and we're super excited about it.
That's incredible. I know I can't wait to try everything. I mean, it sounds amazing. And I love that faith component as well. I think when you see people who bring their faith into what they're doing as a company, like you see the fruit of that. People are going to operate differently. It's not just about bottom line. Like you're actually thinking about how you can make a positive impact. And that to me, I love that you guys actually care about the health. I think it's pretty clear that you care about the health of the people and you care about the health of the cows. And actually want to touch on that because for me, I was a vegan for 5 years. Gabe, I
Oh
don't know if
wow.
you knew that. I've told Russ this.
No,
I was
wow,
a
yeah,
vegan for 5 years for many reasons, but one of them was I didn't like the treatment of animals, right?
yeah.
Um, and I destroyed my health being a vegan, and that's part of
Mm,
how I found my journey here. And I
wow.
talk about it a lot. But I think one thing that's important to me is finding things where, like, even when I'm seeing these pasture raised, like at the store, I go to Whole Foods, it's like pasture raised this, regenerative that. But if you really dig into it, a lot of these cows are actually miserable, right? Like
Mm,
they have their heads like yoked into these feeder things, and like it's
mm.
not what you think it is, these happy cows on the farm. One thing I like about you guys is that you're pretty transparent about the fact that your cows are happy, they're on the field, you see videos of them. Can you tell me about like how the treatment of animals is important to you guys? Because I know that's something that you guys are pretty transparent about.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, we have a couple of really amazing guys that look after the animals on a daily basis. Like we're out there here and there and busy doing a lot of things, but I tell you what, they treat them just like their family, and they love them, and we just believe that. I mean, we have a responsibility, to shepherd them well. So, I mean, I think that's our motto, that's our approach. But we also do that with people in mind because I don't know how much your viewers know, but like the stress of an animal also gets into the meat. And
Mm,
so when an animal is stressed, it creates this thing called this hormone in the animal that actually gets directly in the meat, and it's really harmful for us as we eat that. So we're trying to totally remove the stress for them in most every way we possibly can. So that would be from the start to the very finish. We don't like to push them hard. We like to give them, days off and things like that, as we do we need in our own life. We need to balance our own schedules, and living under a certain amount of stress might be good for a while, but if you sustain that, right, and it's something that you don't manage in your own life, it's going to start to have a negative effect. It's the same with our animals. So those kind of things translate right to what we do in our practices of raising them. So yeah, we just honestly, we're trying to keep them as stress-free as possible.
Okay, this is crazy. You're saying that when you're eating a stressed cow, it can affect our health personally. Like, can we dig into that a little bit? This is new to me.
Okay, well, you know what? If you just type it into your AI bot or Google or whatever, you'll start to find that the stress levels of an animal directly affects the meat. Okay, and there's a hormone that's produced by cattle that have stress, and it's extremely harmful to us. So, absolutely, it's a thing. It's not very much talked about. And animals that, these animals are really smart. So I don't know if Russ has told you, but we use e-collars, so we can monitor the movements. We can really track the way our animals eat, their behaviors, and all this. And like literally, we can put those collars on them, and it doesn't even take them but a few hours, and they know exactly how to respond.
Wow.
And like people that think animals don't know what's going on, they absolutely know what's going on. They can feel when you walk out there and you're stressed, they feel your stress. So it's really important to us to, when we're around them, that we even take care of the way that we do things so that it doesn't stress them and overstress them.
That's beautiful. And I think it just goes to show like how connected everything is, right? Like what's good for us is good for the cow and vice versa. And like it's this synergistic effect, which I absolutely love. Okay, I want to ask each of you guys, what is your favorite cut of steak and how do you like to prepare it?
Well, I mean, I would have to say I'm a ribeye guy, just because there's it's just tasty.
Yeah.
But I will, like, if we're preparing it, if I'm making it, I'm a cast iron skillet believer now. I don't know if you are, Delaney, but you can't beat a cast iron skillet. One of my friends is he kind of restores old cast iron skillets. His whole thing is to go find them at flea markets and redo them. And he gave me one a couple of years ago, and I'm still using it. And the flavor from, decades of coming down is just so good. So anyway, for me, it's just butter. And there's a local place here that does barbecue really well here in Northwest Arkansas, called Wright's, and Wright's has a little sprinkle of pizzazz. And so I drop a little bit of that on there. And then we're medium well for sure. I don't know about you, Gabe.
No, that's too dumb for me, man.
Same.
So I like the cowboy cut myself. We got some nice bone-in ribeyes that we just got and from our animals that we just tried, and I can tell you, Delaney, they exceeded my expectations. So I'm pretty excited to share it with everyone.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. All right, so how are you cooking it? You said medium well is too done for you.
It has to be flame grilled. Just a little. It gets hot, really, really hot at first, and then bring the temperature down. Let it just sit there, and then I like it a little bit red and pink in the middle, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and we're good to go.
I love that. That sounds amazing. I am absolutely going to need some steak tonight. I say that as if I haven't eaten steak every single day this week. But no, that's incredible. And I know that you guys are both very wellness oriented, and that's obviously like very much at the root of what you're doing. So, I mean, with all of this going on, like the Maha movement, people are getting really into diet, we're seeing like maybe artificial dyes going away, all of that. Like, what's your perspective on this health movement, the seed oil free movement, like all of that?
Man, it's we started this project. Well, at least I jumped into this project 18 months ago. And if you would have told me that this is the reality, I'd have laughed at you. Like, I would have thought, no way, fast food chains are never going to change their practices. That's never going to be, but now every place you turn, RFK is just lighting people up, and rightly so, right? Like, I think there's a level of mistrust that a lot of food industry people have led, especially the states into. Both Gabe and I have spent plenty of time outside of our country. And we understand that that's not going on in every country. You know what I mean? And we've just kind of allowed that to happen here. And now there's really time for a transparent process. I'm just so concerned when I have a lot of friends who are doctors who are in the healthcare space who, treat cancer patients and things of that nature. Even my own family, my wife has been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and it's directly derived from what we're putting into our body. And so to see that and to really begin to make changes and see the success that she's had has been a key driver in what I want to do and the messaging that we're trying to put out. And we're not making stuff up. Like, we're literally just saying what we know and what we're finding through research. It's a wild atmosphere. I'm so grateful. I can't believe that we're pushing out products that are just at the very forefront of the media right now. Like, that's a dream when it comes to a launch, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's creating a lot of traction. But now it's time for us to just really be who we say we are, and I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I just want to add in there, Delaney. I think I had a stint over COVID where I was helping a pharmaceutical company actually put out a treatment, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding that, and a lot of difficult things happened during that time period. And I guess I woke up to a lot of things that I didn't really realize existed. It's like a world that I never experienced, and it just hit me all in the face at once. And we don't have time to get into all of that. But the cool thing for me is I never saw myself back at the family farm doing things with the family and the cattle. But what actually, God is good. He led me to this place, and I realized my passion is health and wellness, and I'd never realized I'd find it in cattle. But I found it, and when I came back to the US, I felt like I was supposed to do something to make a difference. And sometimes we don't realize in life that there's things that are right in front of us that if we just grabbed a hold of it and stewarded that, even just that would make a big difference. And I think I had no idea when I came back and reconnect with my family that what they're doing can make such a difference if we just do it the way that God intended it. And so that's really what that's why I'm passionate about what we're doing, because I believe it's bigger than myself. It takes all of us together, people like you, Delaney, like Russ, like all the people that is coming in to be involved in this. I think it's all of us doing our part. And as we do that together, I think we do make a big difference. And I think we can bring this country back to a healthy place.
Mm.
That is so beautiful. I think it's true too, where people sometimes think like there's your spiritual calling and then there's your business calling, or like there's just different, like, and it can all be connected. And I love
Right.
that you're saying your
Yep.
passion is health and wellness, and realizing like where you are in the cattle industry, that's where you can make a difference. And it can have this ripple effect. It's not just about the cattle, it's about people's health, it's about autoimmune function, it's about like the influence in so many areas that you might not even realize, right? And that's
Absolutely.
is so,
Yeah.
I think, so beautiful. And that is why you guys are definitely the beef company that I endorse.
Mm.
Like I had been telling Russ, like I've been wanting to work with a beef company for a while. And the reason I hadn't started any partnerships was there's nothing that was up to my standard for like what I can put my stamp on as a health coach and promote. And when you guys came into play and I saw what you guys are doing and I heard what you're doing, I was like, okay, I have to be part of this. This
Mm.
is groundbreaking. This is amazing for people. It's amazing for animals, for the people who struggle with like the slaughterhouse culture, like all of that, right? People who struggle with the treatment of animals and that's why they don't eat meat. Like this checks that box, right? For people who are struggling, trying to be healthy and figure out all the buzzwords and how to look past it and figure out like what's actually healthy, that checks that box. And I think it's just the
Mm.
perfect marriage of both. So you guys, I'm going to be putting a link for you guys to shop in the show notes of this episode. So if you're like, okay, immediately add to cart, you can do that straight from this episode. And we are going to be putting out lots of content upcoming on social media. So make sure that you guys check out Plainview on social media. Check out myself, Gabe, and Russ, and be on the lookout for lots of fun tutorials, recipes, cooking, unboxings, all the things regarding steak. This is like my dream
Let's
partnership, you guys.
go.
I'm so
Come on.
Let's
excited.
go.
I do have to ask you both before we close, because I ask
Sure.
everyone, what are your biggest health goals? So each of you, like, what's your biggest health goal right now? It could be related to this or anything else.
Gabe, you got one quick?
Well, I always have to say I got to keep up with my wife because she keeps me healthy. She's a bit more fit than I am, so I just try to follow her and make sure I'm in the gym at least as much as she is. But no, I mean honestly, my goal is to give my best to this company, but also to give my best to my family. So I got two young kids, 2 and 3, and I just really enjoy working out with them a little bit and just staying active. And I think I'm not slowing down. So you gotta just look after yourself. So I think it's just about consistency for me and making sure I do the work.
Love that.
Yeah, and so I live in Northwest Arkansas, which is the mountain bike, place to be. And so I've got a big dream of riding in a pretty solid endurance race that's coming up in the fall. And so I'm really working on staying on the bicycle as long as I can. I too cannot keep up with my wife, so it's the same for me. But it's a grind. I think just having a goal ahead of us it just really keeps us going. So I've just been on a journey myself, trying to eat the right things and move, and we'll just keep doing that. But maybe we'll make it through the ride.
You'll make it. Phenomenal. Mind over matter. That's amazing. Well, you guys, I have absolutely loved chatting with you, getting to know more about Plainview and both of you guys in your lives. I know the audience is going to love it. You guys, if you're listening, make sure to hit that link in the show notes to
Let's
get
go.
your beef while you still can.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat again soon.